And that's the top development that we're tracking for you. Our rolling coverage on Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation and the victory celebration visuals that we're tracking from Jantar Mantar. There you have it. Abhijit Deepke, the founder of the Cockroach Janata Party. With me in the studio is my colleague Sneha Koshi. Many thanks, Sneha, for taking out the time and joining us here. It's a big development. India's youth have just scored a major political win. What do you make of, the Congress's press conference? What does one say about the crowd that continues to swell up at the Jantar Mantar? 26th, tomorrow, is another candle vigil for those victims of the police brutality and the police excesses and the alleged use of pellet guns. 20th of July, I think we're in for a long drawn haul where we're going to be listening this date time and again, with the parliament proceedings also that are beginning from Monday onwards.
Kabir, I think this generation would not have seen what they have seen. There have been protests in the past as well. There have been huge changes after those protests. But what this generation, the Gen Z protest as it is being said, the way they have led this protest, the way they have been the heart of this protest. And as we have always been saying from the beginning, I think we both were on the ground. Yep. There are others from our channel, our managing editor, Kartikeya Sharma, who was on the ground as well. And anyone who went on the ground came back with a sense that the heart of this protest is about young people. And there was no doubt in anybody's mind that it's going to be very hard for the government to not let go of Dharmendra Pradhan. And Kabir, Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation is not about just Gen Z's victory. It's not just about this political movement. That's also something that CJP very clearly said. It was a political movement. They never said it was a youth movement. They said it was a political youth movement. It's not just about their victory. It's also about the BJP. It's also about the government, because Dharmendra Pradhan was somebody who was very critical to the central power structure, Kabir.
Yeah.
That's what this whole equation is now about. And from the beginning, there was one thing that was very clear. Dharmendra Pradhan had to go if there had to be any sort of talks and any sort of resolution to this protest.
I think that was clear, after the meeting with the CJP spokespersons and the union ministers yesterday at the, VP House. That meeting is still underway. We still don't know what is transpiring behind closed doors at that particular point. But Sneha, it seems like that list of demands, yesterday it was 3 demands. The 1 crore rupee compensation, the withdrawal of FIRs, and the prime demand, which the CJP spokespersons, stood firm on, was the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan. The government said the latter 2 demands, positive signals, positive signs on that. We will have to go through, an internal churn to decide on, of course, what is going to happen with Dharmendra Pradhan. It seems like the first demand has been met. The second 2 demands, there's still consideration going on, but that list of demands might be increasing. Now you want the Prime Minister to come out and apologize. You want the Delhi Police and the Rapid Action Force to come out and apologize. And who knows, maybe more additions to that list as well. And whilst, you answer that, let's quickly introduce our guests also. Amita Tiwari, political analyst with us on the broadcast. Professor Rajiv Lochan, author. Many thanks, Mr. Tiwari. Many thanks, Professor, for taking out the time. Professor Prasenjit Biswas, Professor of Philosophy, Northeastern Hill University, also with us on the broadcast. Sneha, how about you complete your thoughts, and then we'll throw this open to our guests as well.
Kabir, it's quite poignant for the fact that you also have parents who have lost their children, who have started responding and reacting. There are parents, there are mothers, and their reactions are in. I don't know if we have it, we could just play that out as well, because that's been very significant to this movement. There were suicides, death by suicides because of the NEET paper leaks, other paper leaks as well. There was anger that was brewing. Now, what happens to the protests going forward, the multiple demands that may get added, the different shades of it. The heart of it really remains exam reforms, education reforms. And I think, irrespective of the political contours, this Gen Z protest and people who have been at the center of it, and as I have been saying, there's a difference between those who are politically linked as activists to different political parties and those who just came in and gave the strength to the whole momentum as individuals from different universities, colleges across the state. There's a difference between the two of them. Nonetheless, however you may categorize them as Gen Z, it's upon them to ensure that this doesn't stop with just egos and demands. It fuels down to what really this should be about.
Mr. Tiwari, let's get the snowball rolling here. What's the road ahead here, sir? What do you think is going to happen to the protest side? What do you think is going to happen? We've got a candle vigil that's going to take place tomorrow. Many, comments on our social media verse, they're asking the question, is it done now? What's going to happen next? So your assessment on the road ahead.
I think of the three demands which the CJP had made, the first one, which was Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation, was the most trickiest, I would say. The second and third one, which is related to compensation for the victims of the family, and also the non-registration or cancellation of FIRs on the students. I think these two demands are doable. I think the meeting is currently going on, or it may have just ended, and we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. I think the BJP has realized that there is discontent, anger amongst the youth. Their earlier estimates proved to be incorrect, and they have taken this corrective course of action. And it hopes that the protesters would now return to their homes, and perhaps it would be able to undo some of the damage which has happened because of this Gen Z protest. However, another thing is that which we have to see is that by directly dealing with the CJP, it has in a way not ceded space to the opposition. So the opposition, though, would try to take credit for this resignation, but the credit largely rests with the CJP and the students and not the opposition parties. So that strategically also perhaps it has achieved in this entire negotiation process.
Professor, your opening comments here with the Congress press conference, Congress talking about that Instagram reel and Instagram post that the Prime Minister put out. By the way, another Instagram record that the Prime Minister broke, 303 million views in the first 24 hours. But the Congress party says that they are not your friends. The government is not your friend. That's the clarion call coming from the Congress party to the youth, even as they support this movement.
In fact, Kabir, just a minute, sir, before we get to you, let me just introduce Karthikeya Sharma joins as managing editor as well.
Thank you, Sneha. I have something to ask to Amitabh, because, we did a conversation on the survey he brought out. Amitabh, you're saying that the concession will not go to the opposition party, it will go to the CJP. In your survey, you have said that this is the biggest disruptor for the right-wing ecosystem. It is not a disruptor for the left wing or the Congress ecosystem. Even if the Congress party does not get the credit, but it is disrupting the right-wing ecosystem. Isn't that the case, as per your survey?
Yeah. So now from here, we have to see whether how or what chart the CJP takes forward, correct, in their journey. Does CJP taste blood from this success and sees that there is a vacuum for a youth specific political party in India and goes ahead and forms a party, or it remains a movement? If it forms a political party, the survey clearly showed that any new party or movement largely damages the incumbent, as you're saying. And then in that process, it could then, if it takes up other issues of youth like unemployment, threat of AI, migration, etc., etc., then it could conjure some support amongst the youth. However, if it decides not to form a political party, then it is very, very difficult to say whether the students or Gen Z, which has been discontented, angry, frustrated, uh, give this advantage to opposition, which has just hopped onto the bandwagon and not really, really fought for the cause, or
Amitabh, you should quickly organize another survey. I'm waiting for that. There are a lot of other questions. सब बेकार की बात है. अब सर्वे ये होना चाहिए कि ये पॉलिटिकल पार्टी अगर बनेगी तो लोग उसे वोट देंगे या नहीं देंगे. मेरे तो एक सवाल आप प्लीज ऐड कर लीजिए अपने सर्वे में. If CJP turns into a political party, will you vote for it? Not. ये मैं आपको as a journalist सवाल दे रहा हूँ. इसे आप अपने सर्वे में ऐड करिए. I really want to know if it converts into a political party, whether people would like to vote for or not. And I'm being open about it. I've requested Amitabh.
All right, Professor Lochan, what's your take here? Do you think the Cockroach Jantar Party will use all of this consolidation and go on and, register themselves as a party? And of course, your opening comments on Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation and the visuals that we're tracking from the Jantar Mantar.
And Professor Lochan, not to forget, Kabir, झुकने वाला चाहिए. That's a statement that came from CJP, just to add the context to what you're really asking, the political contours.
झुकती है दुनिया, झुकाने वाला चाहिए. Professor, you'll have to unmute yourself. My apologies. Can you hear us?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you hear now?
Yeah, yes, you're with us, Professor Lochan. Please go on.
Okay. So what I was saying was, uh, you've all been to the site, and you know the kind of energy that was flowing through the site, and that has been the kind of energy which has been around for the last 3 days. Before the 20th episode, the energies were relatively low. Since then, they have been extremely high. However, as a historian, I know that these energies don't necessarily translate into a political movement. Political victories, translating political victories into a political movement requires a very different kind of a mindset and a different kind of organizational ability of the kind which Kejriwal had shown earlier. Whether the CJP leaders will be able to bring in that kind of ability, I am not sure about that. I don't have any knowledge on that at the moment. As far as the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan is concerned, certainly there is a big learning for the BJP over there. The Prime Minister for the last 5 years had been talking about youth. In many of his speeches, he had mentioned that it was necessary to have the youth come forward and do something for the youth. Despite that, the government really did not do anything. As far as I know, a few initiatives that did take place, the successful initiatives were put down. The initiatives which were put into place, like the Prime Minister's internship scheme, etc., there was no effort to establish feedback links over there and to ensure that those schemes are successful. So the government has effectively given up hope on the youth, has stopped doing anything for the youth. And this particular protest showed us in a very big way that the youth demands that they be taken care of. Whether all this youth is a student, I don't know, because a very large number of this youth who was there on the ground, they are not students. They are actually people who were working and who had taken time off from their work to join this particular movement. Whether the government will be able to take the initiative, whether the CJP will be able to take the initiative, this is a tossed up thing. As like survey after survey has said, uh, the people at the moment are relatively disenchanted with the BJP government. This kind of disenchantment results in challenges to come up for the government. Whether this disenchantment results in the opposition gaining an upper hand over the government, that I can tell you that it's not going to happen, because the opposition does not even have an image of being friendly to any particular social group. They have, over the years, demonstrated repeatedly that they are incapable of taking sensible decisions or moving forward in a sensible manner. Some of that we saw in the opposition trying to block the parliament, where they could actually question the government and tell the government that it was wrong and the kind of steps that the government needed to take. There's a very important thing over here which we have to keep in mind. This tremendous energy that the youth have demonstrated, this tremendous energy can certainly be harnessed for very constructive purposes. This particular purpose of getting a minister to resign was constructive enough. Whether the youth will be able to find ways and means of doing more constructive things, ये आने वाले समय में देख के
All
पता
right.
चलेगा.
Okay. Sneha, before you ask your question here, just a quick update for all the viewers and for all my panelists as well. Just a couple of updates in the sense that the government and the CGP are going to be addressing a joint press conference shortly. We're going to be bringing you those pictures as well. This is a joint press conference, so the symbolism, the optics, all of that needs to be taken into account. And then Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi, he goes live from 10 Janpat at 6 p.m. What's more is that we've got visuals of firecrackers being burst outside Abhijit Deepke's residence, the founder of Cockroach Janata Party in Maharashtra, in Sambhajinagar. And according to sources, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, after Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation letter, went to his residence. The meeting happened for about half an hour, Sneha. These are the latest updates that we're tracking.
Right. In fact, while we had Professor Lochan really talk about the learnings for the BJP here, Karthikeya, if you could come in at this point and put this in perspective, because when we talk about Dharmendra Pradhan, he was not just, it's not just about being a minister. It's also about being a man who was extremely key, central to the central power structure of the BJP, of the government. He's also the man who's credited for firefighting a lot of things for the government, particularly when it came to the three-language formula, the NEP, the entire tensions between opposition and the centre.
See, Mr. Pradhan is a political blue blood. Mr. Pradhan comes from a privileged background. I'm not saying that he has not done his mehnat in politics, but Mr. Pradhan has a political legacy. We have to understand that. His father was a big name in Odisha. Secondly, Mr. Pradhan's rise in BJP has been meteoric. And if you would have seen him during UPA regime, he was still part of the headquarters, working closely with Arun Jaitley, coordinating a lot of also media-related issues. And once the party came to power, very quickly he went on to become the minister. He was one man before Nitin Nabin being considered with another gentleman from whose office 4 IS officers got sacked as key contenders for the post of Bharatiya Janata Party. So Mr. Pradhan's flight has been very fancy. The issue is education is the heart of the RSS BJP agenda. And that seems to have been mismanaged. One. Secondly, BJP's real trouble started when uh, this administrative failure was picked up by these students, and BJP failed to cast it in an ideological language. Every political fight, BJP creates an ideological language around it. That is why Congress fails all the time. And lastly, the importance here is even Mr. Pradhan failed to understand that the Twitter, social media, or through traditional media, he will not be able to manage the opinion of the students because the entire discussion was taking place in a different platform. And I'm again coming to this point, the entire discussion was taking place on Insta and other platforms. The entire focus of the government was on the traditional media and on the X. That is why, if you look at what happened in the last 72 hours, why have those releases came out in which it's being said that, so many accounts, so many people have come and, become part of Prime Minister's Insta account. Why has that come? It is because to make that a talking point that Prime Minister is equally part of that Gen Z ecosystem. BJP understands that a mistake has been made, but larger issue is that the Pradhan is not important. How they managed it, the contradictory signals went. If you look at the bites that were given by Prime Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, the body language of JP Nadda, Jitendra Singh,
Yeah.
in a very nice way they spoke. But the ecosystem at the X, the language they deployed is completely different. And the press conference of the police that has happened is still in that frame of national security कि इसमें कुछ अराजक तत्व घुस गए हैं. So I think they first need to after resolving this issue, set the house in order as to how they want to deal with the Gen Zs, because everything they have said, they have, all those issues have been addressed from the stage. What was the first bite that was given? कि कहा जाता था इस सरकार में इस्तीफे नहीं होते.
Yeah,
ये
yeah,
पहली चीज बोली मंच पे. मैं क्या सोचता हूँ वो इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है. एज अ जर्नलिस्ट वो क्या बोल रहा है वो इम्पोर्टेंट है. पहली चीज क्या बोला, इस सरकार में इस्तीफे नहीं होते थे, हमने इस्तीफा करा लिया. Inflection point हो गया. I don't want to get into the fact that generally protests are dealing from electoral outcomes, at least in Modi government. मुझे याद नहीं कौन सी protest के कारण कौन सा चुनाव आ रहे हैं, और अभी ये लोग वेस्ट बंगाल भी जीते. So we have to keep those contexts in mind. And Congress has got 2% vote in Uttar Pradesh.